His way. Jesus, there's freedom in your name. You break every chain.
All right, good morning. Welcome to UCAN Studios. I am Isaac, and my guest today is Scott. Say good morning.
Morning, Isaac.
All right, before we get to him, if this is your first time and you're struggling with addiction or recovery, please go to UCANMichigan.com. You can click on there and put your information in. Someone will get a hold of you within 24 hours. If you are struggling with food or clothes or baby formula or outreach or parenting classes, please go to spiritualwarfareunit.com. Click on struggling. We have 17 different nonprofits that we support there. Help us, help you, help others. All right, so Scott, how are we doing this morning?
Doing great. Happy to be here.
All right, when did we have you on?
It's been about 6
8
months.
All right, and so you were I think you were doing Skywood Recovery then, right?
Yep, working at Skywood Recovery out of Augusta, Michigan.
All right, and you guys were doing something, some kind of expansion or another location or something?
Yeah, well, we have another program, our outpatient program out of Royal Oak, Michigan as well.
How's that going?
Good.
You got all that open?
Yeah, it's, coming out of the pandemic, things have really changed in the addiction field and the services that are provided. And, with IOP, intensive outpatient, the services we offer now are 7 days a week.
Wow.
And both in person and virtually.
All right, so if someone wanted to check that out while we're talking, where would you have them go?
To skywoodrecovery.com.
Skywoodrecovery.org.
Or no, skywoodrecovery.com. Yep.
.com?
.com, yeah.
Skywoodrecovery.com. There we go. All right, so you got that going. So it's a 7-day week thing, and the number, I think, is 855-270-7618, right?
Yep. Yeah, and we're 24/7, you always can reach somebody.
All right, so before we get into this, you have this kind of cool thing coming up. I got a flyer, so I just want to show everybody, and it's called the Tipping the Pain Scale. Now, what is this?
Yeah, so Skywood Recovery Center is putting on this screening for Tipping the Pain Scale.
So this is a movie?
Yeah, it's a documentary that Greg Williams, a lot of people in the recovery community will know Greg Williams. He's he's a huge advocate nationally, and he's the one that did Anonymous People.
Okay.
He also did a documentary called Generation Found about the recovery high school movement.
Wow.
And this is his third documentary he's done called Tipping the Pain Scale.
So how did you guys meet and all that?
Well, back Facing Addiction was the name of his first movement. Mm-hmm. And I met Greg. They put on the national event down on the mall in Washington, D.C. back in 2016. And just an amazing event. They had, went all day. It was right there on the mall. 35,000 people were there.
Was it in the summertime?
It was in the fall.
Was it? Okay.
It was in October, and they had Steven Tyler from Aerosmith.
Wow.
They had the Goo Goo Dolls there. They had a lineup of Sheryl Crow, people in recovery.
Yeah.
They had the Surgeon General there. But anyway, this movement was really exciting amongst the recovery community.
Yeah.
And a lot of us that went there from Michigan came back and said, hey, how can we keep this momentum going?
Right.
So a few of us, we got together and we founded Unite to Face Addiction Michigan. But with what Greg's doing in documenting these things, the Tipping the Pain Scale is basically, he's identified some community groups and some community advocates that go into the community and just have done some amazing things within their communities. And what's ironic was 2 years ago, Unite to Face Addiction Michigan, we do a recovery live tour. So we go all week and we go from Petoskey, Traverse City, down to Grand Rapids, over to Flint, to Detroit, down to Ann Arbor.
And when is that?
And we always do it between Christmas and Thanksgiving.
Nice.
So,
all right. So before we get into that information, let me get the information out for this.
Yeah.
So Tipping the Pain Scale is a documentary. It's going to be on Thursday, February 9th. This is 2023. Mm-hmm. And the movie's in Waterford. It starts at 7, and it's the MJR Theater in Waterford. And the address you got here is 7501 on Highland Road. So if someone wants to Google that, they can find that. And they just go in and sign up for the tickets, or
Yeah, what we ask is, they go find the event,
Yeah.
and we have a registration.
RSVP for it?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So you can go in there, watch a movie about helping beat addiction, and which is what we fight day in and day out. And speaking of fighting it day in and day out, you talked about the Unite to Face Addiction group. So just remind people what that is.
Yeah, Unite to Face Addiction Michigan is basically just a platform that's utilized to kind of highlight all the great things that are going on in Michigan amongst the recovery community, prevention, treatment, all aspects of access to treatment and recovery.
So it's a group of people that help like form a point for people who want to fight addiction at a state and national level?
Yeah, and the main issue was, back early on in this opiate epidemic, you were seeing a lot of trauma, a lot of death associated with opiates.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of families, a lot of communities wanted to do things, but unfortunately they were doing things in a siloed kind of approach. And we just wanted to put together, a platform so everybody can kind of come together.
Yeah, because as a community, we can get more done if we would just communicate. Like you were talking before the show, it's like, man, there's so many things. If we could just get them to work together instead of separate, it's like herding wet cats sometimes. And everybody's got a good thing,
Yeah. So it's just a few compassionate people that work to put together, basically, like I say, platforms for events. So the big event that we have is every third Thursday in May at the state capitol. So we've been doing that for about 7 years now.
And what's the name of that?
It's the Unite to Face Addiction Michigan Rally.
Rally, and what happens there on Thursday, May 18th?
We basically say we take over the Capitol. We do it on a Thursday because the legislature's in session. The legislators get involved because they have to walk right past us.
Right.
So
that's the thing Bob wanted me to come down to.
Yeah. So we've been successful. Like this last year, we had about 30 legislators on the steps of the Capitol addressing us.
And that's the 3,000 or 4,000 people that.
Yeah. So we've been the pandemic took a toll for a couple years. We weren't able to have it.
Yeah.
And then this last year we came out of the pandemic and had it.
And how was that when you got back? Was it strong?
Good. Yeah. People were asking about it. People are asking about it year round.
Yeah.
So we're getting more and more traction.
There we go. And if people wanted to find that, like, where would they go?
You just Google Unite to Face Addiction Michigan.
Okay.
And on our website, we have information about the rally.
Okay. Unite to Face Addiction Michigan.
Unite to Face UFAM. Yep.
UFAM. All right. And so you have, and this is a group of people that are doing a lot of good work from a bunch of different things, like the idea you said, reducing the siloing.
Yeah.
To have a good consortium. How's that going, by the way?
For example, we bring in, 240 by 60 tents. So we go from 10 o'clock to 4 o'clock that day.
Yeah.
And we bring in national speakers, local speakers. We highlight some of the local things that are going on.
Yeah.
The success stories. We provide integrative therapies on the grounds. So there's yoga, there's acupuncture, there's a reflexology, there's mindfulness training. We do a Narcan training.
All right, hold on, back up. That was a lot.
Yeah.
What is mindfulness training? I don't.
Well, it's basically just stepping back and just getting the how some of us in early recovery it's like a squirrel cage up there, right?
Yeah.
Just trying.
Yeah, squirrel, snorkel, shiny thing.
Yeah. Trying to compartmentalize things.
I hate that word.
Yeah.
It sounds good, but it's hard to say.
But and not sometimes we get overwhelmed very easily. So
I think we get overwhelmed easily a lot, man.
Oh, yeah.
Like anything above 3 things.
Yeah.
Like just a quick side note. Like last week, I went to the oil change place, got my oil change. Well, the guy rotated my tires wrong because they're supposed to go side to side, not front to back, right? Then the sensor goes out, right? So then you go to the sensor place. So the guy at the tire place starts yelling at me that the rotated tires are bad, which I had no idea. And then the sensor is bad, and they're not going to pay for the sensor, right? And then someone else starts yelling at me about something. I was like, that's it. And I'm like, okay, don't do this.
That's all I can handle.
Yeah, but I hit my third thing, and I could feel my brain go, and so that mindfulness gives you like kind of, it sounds like it's a way to like help deal with the stresses of the day-to-day stuff, right?
Yeah.
I might have to do that.
It's taking the time in the day to, to focus.
Then you said acupuncture too.
Acupuncture, yeah. So
Have you done that?
It's auricular acupuncture. Oh, yeah. So,
does it work?
Oh, it's amazing.
Really?
Yeah. So, where I used
Does it hurt?
No, not at all. It hurts initially. I mean,
be honest, man. That's a lot of needles.
You get 5. There's 5 points that are identified for different organs within your body.
Okay.
And that's where they go in. And you'll feel some will kick out.
Okay.
They won't stay in.
Your body will actually eject a needle?
Right.
Wow.
And then and it's identified kind of areas where you need more focus. But I used to do it every at noon for lunch.
Really?
And it would just, just set you. Just.
Would your muscles literally relax and all that stuff?
Oh yeah. It was.
I'll be honest. One time I did that, they did it in my shoulders, and that ejecting thing happened. My muscle was just doing this number, and it hurt so bad. I was like, dude.
So over time, it'll accept it.
Oh, okay.
But these are all in the ear, and they're 5 points that are identified.
No
for
kidding.
Different organs in your body. Yeah.
What was the other one? Mind wellness, acupuncture, and something. Yoga.
Yeah.
Hot yoga.
Yeah. No, it's just we're just there on the lawn. So we provide the mats.
So you got people in warrior pose doing their stuff and all that?
Yeah.
And you find that that's really good for the body in regards to recovery?
Mostly a body like mine. Yeah. I'm so...
Body made by McDonald's.
The older you get, the less active you get. Right?
Yeah, and the muscles tighten.
Just, this brings it all in. They call it, there's I don't even want to go in. I got friends that are yoga experts, and just I just envy them.
The only reason I would,
mind, how flexible they are.
Because I've had 2 or 3 friends just in the last couple of weeks like, you gotta do some yoga. I'm like, dude, I'm gonna get stuck in a position, and then I know I'm gonna be gassy, and do that in front of other people. I'm really shy about that. That's really the reason I don't want to do it. And they're like, oh, it'll be fine, and I'm sitting here talking to you. I was like, I'm literally not going to do it. But my one buddy, AJ, is like, you won't be the only one. And I was like, oh, so that's a normal thing, right? No. So all of that happens at the Capitol. And you said you do that one Thursday. You do every Thursday that month?
Third Thursday of the month. Every third Thursday.
Every third Thursday you're going to the Capitol?
Every third Thursday of May.
So you do that once a year.
Once a year, yep.
So we're going to put that on our calendar, and people can go to Unite the Face of Addiction, Michigan. Yep. Do they need to sign up or anything?
It's good. We're always looking for people to volunteer.
Yeah.
We always want, it's nice to have people sign up so we can kind of know, because we provide a free lunch.
Oh, okay.
So know how many to expect.
All right. Well, Scott, we got to go to our first break.
Yeah.
So if you've not checked out Unite the Face of Addiction, Michigan.com, do that. And if you haven't liked, shared, and subscribed, please do that on Spiritual Warfare Unit. Sit tight. We'll be right back. Taking a quick break from our podcast, I wanted to let you know about our life application program that we have for churches and nonprofits in the area that are trying to find programming that they can use in case the corona shuts you down and you're not able to get in. You go to spiritualwarfareunit.com. You click on our episodes, and you can check out our programs for as little as $29.99 a month to make sure that we're still getting the word out to those people that need it. Now, back to the program. Welcome back to the Warrior's Way. Our warrior this week is Scott Masi. He's in from Skywood Recovery Center. He's also on Unite to Face Addiction Michigan.com. And we were just finishing up about their state event at the Lansing Capitol, the third Thursday, May 18th this year. So if you want to go check that out, that's going to be a really cool thing. Now, let's talk a little bit about the Opioid Advisory Commission. This thing is really cool. First of all, how did that happen? Refresh us.
Yeah, so the Opioid Advisory Commission was something that was legislated. It's a 12-member commission that is tasked with coming up with recommendations to the legislature for the settlement money that is going to be coming into the state. And right now, it looks like there's identified about $850 million that's going to be coming into the state.
Outstanding. So you're the board that's going to help them decide where that goes.
Yeah, what we're doing right now, we are tasked with this March presenting the legislature with our recommendations. So
Right.
we're in the midst of putting that packet together and providing it, and we've been meeting now. It's about 4 months.
All right. What's the time frame on? Like, when do you have to have a decision about that?
Well, I mean, every March we have to provide
Oh, okay.
the legislators.
And how long does it take them to make a decision on whether they approve your recommendation or
see,
whatever?
that's going to be the interesting piece of this.
Oh, we don't know?
So what we do is we make those recommendations. There's also an opiate task force that they haven't met. They've been identified as well. It's another 12-member program. I mean, this is the way the government works.
Yeah, absolutely.
But basically, what we'll do is we'll make the recommendations. Then, it's either up to. It's going to take a lot of lobbying.
Sure, influence ever.
It's going to take organizations that are looking to benefit from some of this money to do their part to make sure they follow through. And I think the biggest thing is it's going to be trying to identify a legislator that's going to be willing to put a bill together, introduce it, and get it passed.
So it's going to be some time.
Yeah. So most of the, right now, there was a lawsuit out of Ottawa County that kind of held up some of the funding right now. So, the funding is coming in. We're starting to disperse it. There's a formula which is.
It looks like it's making your head hurt.
Yeah.
It's black magic and voodoo.
Yeah. So it'll be distributed in that way as well. So it's going to be interesting, and it's basically for substance abuse and co-occurring issues related to people struggling with the opiate issue.
I got to tell you, I feel better that you're on the board doing that with the experience. And it sounds like that sounds like a mountain to climb, bud.
It's been an eye opener.
Yeah.
Because you got 12. People on there coming from very diverse backgrounds. Law enforcement, judiciary. There's 2 of us in recovery. Doctors.
And how do you get on the same page? And what's the bridges to gap there? Yeah, and everybody's got a different perspective. It's both exciting and probably frustrating.
But I tell you, it's been a great learning experience.
I bet, man.
Learned quite a bit.
What's your favorite thing so far?
Well, I mean, we learned about, some of the big needs are with the pregnant population.
Really?
Yeah, because of how they struggle with opiate addiction.
Wait a minute, that's like a big thing. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Postpartum after they
so is that
deliver.
I just want to make sure I have this right. So when they have the kid and it goes in the cubicle or whatever, because it's normally premium something.
Yeah, a lot of what happens is the child is born with neonatal abstinence syndrome.
What is that?
Well, they're basically in withdrawal. They're born in withdrawal.
They're born into withdrawal.
Yeah. So what happens is we're learning. We need to learn a lot more about someone carrying a baby, because through their active addiction and being pregnant, we can't do abstinent-based. We can't provide abstinent-based programming for them because we don't know how it's going to affect the baby because it'll put the baby in withdrawal.
Oh wow!
So
while she still has it.
Yeah. So basically, what the big push is for medication-assisted treatment. So you're seeing the term MATS, medication-assisted treatment, all over.
Yes.
So that's the big push here nationally.
Hold on, before you skip out of that, if someone want to read up on that or has a family member, where would they go for that?
Well, I
papers and stuff.
Well, the National Institute of Drug Abuse, NIDA, is the best place to go.
NIDA.
NIDA.
Okay.
It's full of information. And then SAMHSA. It's SAMSHA.
Wait a minute. SAMSHA?
Yeah.
They could just Google that?
Yeah.
All right, and I'm assuming that's got links to helps if someone's a mom and struggling.
Yeah, and it's a very comprehensive and overwhelming website.
Wow.
It's a government website, but it also provides resources for treatment,
Okay.
resources for education, and then statistical.
So if someone has a family member there, that was struggling, they could go research it and then help them there.
Yeah.
And just so I understand, because I don't have the facts on this, what's the percentage of that? Like, as far as like people that are pregnant that are addicted, what do you have a number on that?
The
Is it 1%?
percentage. No, the percent. I don't have the stuff in front of me, but
Okay.
it's a very troubling population.
Okay, I just didn't know how common that
The
was.
the rate of death. There's a child that's born every 20 minutes in neonatals.
That's going to a withdrawal.
Yep.
Every 20 minutes.
In this country.
I didn't even know. Dude, that's ignorant. I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah.
Man, and you guys have a very comprehensive website.
Yeah.
What were those two acronyms again? SM.
Oh well, SAMHSA is a government website. SAMSHA.
Okay. And what was the other
then
one?
The other one is NIDA.
NIDA.
And then there's the NIH, which I would. There's a woman. Her name is Nora Volkoff, Dr. Volkoff. She is a brilliant woman. We're doing in the addiction field. We're doing a lot more brain imaging because we understand that this is a brain disease, right?
Right.
It's a chronic,
Yes.
relapsing brain disease.
Right.
And she is at the forefront. The things that she's doing is just amazing. But they're all from brain mapping.
Wow.
And
So you can see in the brain mapping from the kids, like how that affects the
well,
brain.
not only kids, but just people struggling with addiction. Because like if you're struggling with opiates,
Yeah.
it affects certain areas of the brain.
Yeah.
And like for example, with benzodiazepines, and with stimulants such as Adderall, like for example, my drug of choice was cocaine, eventually crack cocaine. And I always say my addiction started when I was in second grade when I was put on Ritalin.
Right.
Because we now, you can look this up. You can look at the brain on Ritalin or any type of stimulant like Adderall.
Yeah.
And you can look at a brain on cocaine and you can't tell the difference.
It's identical.
Because they affect the same areas.
Plus, I imagine it's teaching the kid, I take a thing and I feel different. Right?
Well, you're talking about an adolescent brain, and that's a whole nother discussion. Because
Don't they say that an adolescent brain and a psychopath are extremely similar? I remember reading that somewhere.
But the brain continues to develop into the late 20s, early 30s.
Wow.
So there's a myelination around the brain, and that doesn't complete itself till later. But what's happening is we're affecting our children and our adolescents at a younger and younger age with pharmaceuticals. So like, for example, if you've ever, I always ask this to the clients, I go, ask them to raise their hand if they've been on, as an adolescent, been prescribed, a pharmaceutical
Yeah.
that affects the central nervous system or the brain, and they'll raise their hand, and then I'll say, well, what was the first thing the doctor told you when he prescribed that?
Yeah.
And they, let's see how this works.
Let's see how it works.
Let's see how this works.
So they're shooting a crap game.
It's all, that's where we're at right now.
Wow.
And when you're dealing with an adolescent brain, and I did a lot of early on in my recovery, working at in addiction and at a recovery center, I looked at the patient population. This was at the beginning of the opiate epidemic, and seeing this 18 to 25-year-old population really explode amongst, what we were providing services for.
Right.
And what I found was many of them were already in their adolescence, were under the care of a psychiatrist, been prescribed medication.
No kidding.
Already in some type of juvenile judiciary.
So the theory is the
probation.
pre-existent things has happened because
Well, the
of
progression, yeah.
Yeah.
But it was starting earlier and earlier.
Man, that
And it was-
logically makes sense, you know.
It was starting with a compromised brain.
Wow.
And
it's being compromised is what the theory is.
And I haven't been able to find the latest stats, but what was really troubling, and this was about 2018, 2019, if you look at the number of kids under the age of 18, adolescents, that are under Social Security, under SSI, because of mental illness, it has increased exponentially.
Really?
Yeah.
So it puts them on SSI, and they're not getting off that, right? Once you get pre-diagnosed, that's it. What it is, right?
Diagnosed with a mental, a behavioral health issue.
And your mind is still developing. So how? I just don't.
Well,
understand.
It retards the development. It stops the development.
Really?
A lot of times, yeah.
Hence the adolescent behavior in the early 20s, then.
Well, it was kind of funny. I used to have this conversation with one of our addiction doctors, and it was, you look at that 18 to 25-year-old population. Inpatient programs like ours at Skywood Recovery Center. You have to start as an adult. And that's what we service from 18 and up.
Yeah.
But the thing is, that 18 to 25-year-old population, or 18 to 30, we're dealing with an adolescent because they've been using all these years, and we're so
that teenage mentality, right?
Yeah.
Man, it's almost the way you're describing that. It's almost like being set up to fail. Logically, if you look at it, not on purpose, I don't think, but I think that might be the accidental outcome.
But a lot of these kids, as they progress through their life cycle, if they've already started, they're not getting properly educated.
Right.
They're in the judicial system some way, in probation. They're dealing with, some type of mental illness. That's not the way to start your life in this.
Yeah, that really puts you behind the 8 ball, right?
It sure does.
Man. Well, listen, we got to go to another break. But those acronyms for that stuff for the moms that might be dealing with addiction and they're pregnant is SAM, SHA, NIDA, and NIH. If you have a family member that's struggling with that, you can go to those, get information and help, right? That's what you said?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. And then, locally, we have what's called the CMH, the Community Mental Health Organizations here in Michigan. There's 10 regionally.
All right. Yep, regions, 1 through 10. All right. Well, you guys get that information while we're on break. Sit tight. We'll be right back. Like, share, and subscribe. We'll see you in a minute.
I'm really impressed with the teachings that Isaac has been bringing to us, as this is all based from Proverbs.
I like it because it's simple, and it doesn't matter who you are. It's very easy to understand and apply to your life.
It points out, my bad parts, and but it's showing me how to do the good parts, and I'm trying to apply that and make a better life for myself because I'm tired of where I've been.
It's impacted a lot of the guys as they continue to talk and ask questions after the meetings, as they speak to one another regarding the meeting and the messages and the topics that are being brought up, which are down-to-earth topics of situations and things that we live with on a day-to-day basis.
He takes the Bible and he breaks it down into simple terms and where you can understand. And like I said before, sometimes a lot of churches, even the Salvation Army, sometimes we start using these big words that people don't understand, like even saying someone got saved. Well, what does that mean? What does it mean when you say someone got saved? And it's accepting Jesus into your heart. So it's like words like that we use that people don't understand.
It's just very interesting how he points out, the different things of, the sin part, and then he comes back with the, how to make it better, and he just points it out. It's there. I didn't know all this stuff was in there, but now that he's pointing it out, it's like, wow, I guess if you really dig into the Bible, you find these things.
This is a daily moral standards that we can live by, that the teachings are coming from. And honestly, we can take verse by verse as what he's done, and pretty much he's done the hard work for us and now laying it out so that we have an easier understanding.
There's some people who don't like to be in Bible classes, but this one seems to get their attention.
Here's how they... Yeah, welcome back to Warriors Way. We're just talking about vaping and get a injection of stressed air and the addiction and all that stuff. It's amazing how addicting that stuff is. Anyways, we're just finishing up with realizing that women that are pregnant and the addictions there. I did not understand. Every 20 minutes is the number that you put. That is amazing.
Yeah, that a baby is born into neonatal abstinence.
Yeah. So being on the Opioid Advisory Commission, is there anything that people can go to or take a look at as far as stuff that you have going for that board?
Well, yeah. So this is one of the big things that I advocate for is the transparency of what's going on. So,
right.
Obviously the advisory board falls under the Open Meetings Act. So anybody can attend. Also, they can go on remotely to watch the meetings.
Mm-hmm.
They can ask.
Where would they go to watch those?
So OAC, Opiate Advisory Commission. So we have a website. And then also, that website is very comprehensive because it's we upload all of our, the presentations that are made to the committee, and many of the stats. The state has come out with some, statistics that help us kind of identify populations of need.
Yeah, so that's cool. So people can go on the OAC website and check out what you're doing and keep up with the stuff and all that. Man, that's really neat. So the next thing I wanted to get to, some of my more favorite part of this, is success stories that you've had since we've been able to talk to you. And I know you got some.
Well, my success stories, revolve around, the life of purpose that I've been provided in this recovery, right? And that's, helping people get into treatment. And I've been very fortunate to work for such a great center. I mean, because I've had a lot of experience in this state with a lot of what is offered in treatment. Yeah. And being involved with Skywood Recovery Center has just been phenomenal. I mean, from our leadership, which has a background in recovery themselves, and just how nimble our organization is to address the needs of the people struggling in our state.
Like when you say nimble, define what you're talking about.
Well, for example, I'll get a call from a lot of my clients that I work with are UAW members.
Okay.
So I'll get a call from a third shift EAP, an employee assistance professional, that, someone has been identified on the floor of that
struggling,
and they need to get into treatment right away. Either they're going to be fired.
So you're talking like 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. or something crazy.
And, I'm able to make a call to our admissions center, set up the intake.
Then?
Yeah.
Wow.
And no other facility in the state provides that.
No kidding.
And then, I've been given, the fortunate opportunity to be able to transport them. So if the need is to get them, we're trying to take down the barriers to bring them into treatment.
Yeah.
And, our leadership does everything in their power to address that.
Wow. And so that's what you mean by nimble. If you need it.
If I make a call, I'm getting an answer.
All right.
I'm not working 9 to 5. This ain't a 9 to 5 disease.
So you're like Vanilla Ice. If you got a problem, you'll solve it. That's really cool. All right. So doing the Skywood Recovery, the Opioid Advisory Commission, the Unite the Face of Addiction website, and then you have an event that you said you're calling now. It's called the Hall of Fame event.
Yeah.
What is that?
Yeah, so this is the second year that Skywood Recovery Center has taken the lead here in the state of Michigan. It's a regional event nationally, and we here in Michigan, Skywood takes the lead on it, and it's working with the Hall of Fame.
Like the Hall of Fame from Ohio Hall of Fame. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, so it's an organization that raises funds for people seeking, treatment or recovery, and just filling the need for them.
I know what it's for. Now, what is it?
Yeah, so it's an event that we do annually. This year, last year we did it down in Detroit at the Eastern Market. This year we're doing it down in Detroit again at the MGM.
Okay,
and we. It's just an exciting event because we have
What kind of people show up?
I mean, you got every sports figure in the.
Come on,
Yeah,
list some off.
Well, last year we had Kelvin Johnson, we had Darren McCarty,
Wow.
Andre Rison, and then many other Lomas Brown. And there's panel discussions.
So you get to meet these people?
Oh yeah.
Okay, and so people can go down there and give a little money to a good cause and
Right.
meet like Hall of Fame people from Detroit.
Yeah.
Food's got to kick your teeth out down there.
Yeah, I mean, yep, that's a big part of it. We try to highlight, Detroit.
So that I have down here May 15th. It's a Monday.
Yeah, Monday, May 15th.
At the MGM. And so where would that be in there?
It's in the conference center.
Conference center? Okay.
Yeah.
And if people wanted
But
to
there'll
get...
be more information coming out. We'll have right now we're just putting it together. And
all right. So if they wanted an update on this, where would they go to get that, just to keep track of it? 'Cause this sounds like a fun event.
Yeah, they could go to
Skywood
skywoodrecovery.com. We'll have the information up shortly about how to access tickets.
And how much of the ticket's going to be, you think?
Yeah, and
We got to figure that part out?
Yeah, because we'll also have the opportunity to provide tickets as well.
All right. So the people that call them, are they going to get like photo opportunities with these dudes?
Oh yeah, I mean they're just
'Cause, I mean-
you're networking with them. You're right there with them. There's no
barrier.
lineup, no barrier.
Wow. My favorite line from Darren McCarty is every time he'd get in a fight and they're like, "How's your hands?" He's like, "Oh, I can still tickle the ivory." I love that about him. I don't know if he actually played the piano or not, but man, I've actually met him a couple times. He's a really interesting
guy,
dude. Yeah. And so their experience with what you're doing. How did you get involved with that? Like, how did that happen?
Well, our CEO is, and our organization is nationally is out of Nashville.
Okay.
And just within the recovery and treatment community, it's pretty tight knit. So he had a relationship with the gentleman who founded the Hall of Fame.
He had a relationship with the guy that founded the Hall of Fame.
Well,
Holy
the Hall of
smokes.
Fame program for behavioral health.
Wow, and this is the kind of muscle you got behind what you're doing. That's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so what other events do you have coming up? Is that anything, or is that the ones that we got? Did I miss anything?
Well, our inpatient, or our IOP, our intensive outpatient program down in Royal Oak, we're bringing a family seminar together.
Now, what does
that's
that mean?
Coming up. Well, it's just an opportunity to learn about the family dynamic within addiction.
Can you give me an example? So, like,
Well,
'cause
just-
I know what you're talking about, but if someone else doesn't know,
Well, when you look at addiction from a holistic approach, it's not really just an individual. Like, for example, with my addiction, I took a toll. We take hostages. I like to say we take hostages.
That's a good word.
Our use.
yeah.
And a lot of times, they struggle just as much as we do.
And we're talking about the family and the friends
family.
around you that care about the person.
Yeah, because
And-
they're the ones that we attack. I mean,
Yeah.
they between us and the drug of choice that
Right.
and it's usually the loved one that gets the brunt of.
So you're teaching the family members how to deal with the addiction, informing them,
Yeah.
and how
and
successful.
involving them
Yeah.
in the program.
And so informing them of the situations that they've gone through has been successful for them?
Well, just identifying issues that might come up, giving them skill sets to deal with that.
So-
like I always tell clients that are coming out of treatment, I go, you're not going to be able to take a piss with the door closed without them asking where you're going.
Yeah,
And can you blame them?
right,
Can you blame a family member?
right.
So you
And then
gotta
being
learn-
mad about it,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, are you going to be resentful?
Yeah.
I mean, do you understand why there's that,
Yeah, 'cause when you both-
PTSD amongst
Yeah, because when you bolt for 3 or 4 days and then you come back, and then when you come back, you're down and like having to deal with that. And I grew up in a family just like that, so it's like I understand that because it's like, oh God, and everybody's on pins and needles because it's like, what are they going to do now? And they're feeling bad because they did it. So those two dynamics are just hitting each other at the same time. It's like, yeah.
Well, I mean, it seems like every case is a unique dynamic.
Yeah.
I mean, just like this, what I'm dealing with right now, trying to get somebody in, and just the involvement. I mean, the barriers. This woman struggles with, COPD. She's got some CPS issues. She's got an autistic child that can't really speak. She's been, 3 DUIs with the children in the car.
Oh my gosh! And she's drinking to deal with the stress because of the kid, and my gosh.
And the family's the one taking the brunt because they're doing most of the work trying to get her into treatment.
Wow!
And what they're going through. So
how hard? How do you even make that happen? Because you're actually fighting the own person for their own success at that point, right?
Well, I always say, in active addiction, like I was the last one to know I needed help. Everybody around me knew.
And you really thought you had it.
Well, I was, I just wanted to be a happy addict. I didn't, this is only hurting me. It's not hurting anybody else.
Right.
But that's so far from the truth.
Yeah, because when you love somebody and you see them hurting, you really struggle. And I've dealt with that with family members. Still deal with that with family members, and each one of those things is, like you said, each one is unique in its own right, and trying to figure out that puzzle is extremely difficult. But having the family dynamic add on to that makes all the sense in the world, because you're like arming them to be prepared for that scenario.
Well, in developing good boundaries.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Well, before we get to the last part, we still got to go to another break. If you've not gone to Spiritual Warfare Unit, please do that. Like, share, and subscribe so we can help others. You guys sit tight. We're going to be right back.
Every name, Jesus. Always set me free.
Hey, it's Aaron with UCAN. We're down here at the Unity Fest the Heart of Flint is putting on, Kersley Park Pavilion over here on the east side. Doing a lot of great things out here with a lot of great people. There's all types of vendors, people giving away food and water and clothing, just a lot of resources for the community. UCAN's out here, and we're talking to a lot of people already whose loved ones have been afflicted by the disease of addiction. So we're able to get our information out, hopefully be able to provide resources to those folks in the future.
There's freedom in your name, Jesus. There's freedom in your name. You break every
All right, here we are, Unity Fest 2, and I'm here with the promoter, Jeremy. How are we doing today, buddy?
Good, man. How are you doing?
Doing great. We're here at the UCAN tent, handing out for United Community Addiction Network, getting everybody here helped out. It looks like a full house. How many people do you think are here?
A few hundred. We just opened, so I think it's going to get better, though, today.
All right, and how many people you got playing today?
We have 3 artists. We got Shantae Music, and we have Nick Hill, who's out of Saginaw, and then End of I. I don't know who they are, but...
Yeah, we'll talk to them. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. You guys don't get to see that part. Welcome back to the Warriors Way at UCAN Studios. I'm here with Scott Masi, and he is the person we're talking to from Unite the Face of Addiction. The website's unitethefaceofaddiction.com. He's also from a Skywood Recovery Center, where he works a lot with recovery and families, and 24/7, 365 probably. I can't imagine you sleep much. I was checking you for fangs.
I don't sleep.
Yeah, I was checking you for fangs, but it doesn't look like you're. It doesn't.
I haven't learned to do that yet.
Well, you don't look like a vampire. You're also on the Opioid Advisory Commission, about helping our legislature make good decisions on where to put the money that we get to help with drug rehabilitation. The success stories you've gone through. We also talked about May 3rd, which is an event down to Capitol.
May
18th.
May 18th, Thursday.
Yeah.
May
3rd, the third Thursday in May, where people can come together and support. And you actually had, you said 30 legislatures that would come out, give or take.
Up on the what I work with a representative. His name's Joe Bellino. He's very open about his recovery. Mm-hmm. He's a representative from Monroe, and he's just an amazing man.
How did you meet that guy?
Just through the fellowship.
No kidding. Wait, a politician that's open about his
Very
recovery?
open, very
Is
open.
that strange? That seems strange.
Yeah, it is. But but it's opening up doors more and more to people that. I mean, there's a lot of people struggle. I can tell you stories about, one of the former speakers of the House, the youngest speaker of the House, Greg DeRoche.
Yeah.
He was probably about 15 years ago. He was Speaker of the House in Michigan, but he had a very public, issue.
Yeah.
And it was associated with his drinking.
Okay.
And now he runs the Justice Fellowship out of Washington, D.C.
No kidding.
Which kind of was born out of the Watergate, the Colson, and
Okay.
It's a long story, but it's awesome. But Craig is just amazing among the recovery community nationally, and a lot of legislators, both nationally and locally. Look for him for mentorship in dealing with the issue.
And these are the partners that you have when it comes to this.
Yeah. They, I've had Craig a number of years present at the Capitol, but Joe, what Joe did this past year, Joe Bellino, is he got the Speaker of the House to recess the legislature.
Wow.
At like 11 o'clock. So they all recessed from the chamber and walked out onto the we used the Capitol steps as our stage.
Yeah.
And they came out there and they addressed us, talked about some of the issues facing their constituents and what some of the things that were
And that outcome of having them come out, other than you get the shot of it, has been successful in regards to communication.
and it allows people that are there to feel a little bit more comfortable talking to their legislator.
Gotcha.
Introducing themselves, making this issue just, putting a face and a voice to it. That's what we're trying to do, just put a face and a voice to the
And
issue.
it seems like it's coming together. Now, one of the things that we didn't talk about, there was something about between Christmas and New Year, some concert or something.
Well, usually,
was that?
every year we do a recovery live tour.
All right, so that's what
Yeah.
it was, the Recovery Live Tour. What is that?
Yeah. So the Recovery Live Tour is basically I bring in some national speakers. I bring in someone from sports, entertainment. We have Mark Ludholm, who's a nationally known comedian who's just an amazing guy amongst the recovery community. And I always say he speaks 9 languages and they're all English. So he could speak, I take him into jails, prisons, juvenile detention facilities, treatment centers,
Nice.
recovery community organizations. And then we anchor every day with a evening performance.
Okay, so what kind of people are you getting in that performance? So this is an all-day event, actually.
Oh, it's all week. We go 5 days.
All right, so what kind of lineups are we looking at here?
Well, the last lineup I put together was, Brandon Novak from the Jackass series. I don't know
Okay.
if you've heard of Brandon, big
Oh,
time
yeah.
skateboarder.
Yeah.
So I brought Brandon in, brought Randy Grimes. Randy was a 10-year veteran of the NFL, played for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Okay.
Brought
That big guy?
Yeah, big guy.
Yeah,
Great guy.
I got my picture with him, man. He felt like an oven when I was standing
Yeah.
next to him. That
And his
dude is a
story
brick.
Yeah, his story is amazing.
That's a great story.
Yeah, and he,
All right.
he's just, bringing, a mother who's, kind of nationally telling her story. That's Katie Donovan.
Okay.
She's local here, and bring in Mark, who's the comedian, and other national known recovery advocates.
Because I think when we were talking prior to the show, you said something about Sheryl Crow or somebody else, as far as like people coming in to sing.
Well, no, like Cheryl. When I was discussing Sheryl Crow, Steven Tyler,
That was the other one.
the Goo Goo Dolls, and they were at the national event.
That's what it was.
Put
Okay.
on the mall in Washington, D.C. back in 2016, October 2000.
Now
Which
is-
kind of kicked off this whole movement.
Yeah. Now, is that something you still do too? What's going on in Washington?
Now, unfortunately, it was kind of funny. I was talking to the organizers of that, and it cost them almost $3 million to put that on. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's not, I mean, logistically, to bring in those type of acts, the stage that was set up, the marketing that was done.
Right.
It was a task.
Yeah. Looking at your face, I'm like, ugh.
So, it's like every year we do this rally at the state capitol. It's just a bunch of compassionate people. We still have a ways to go to really make it look really professional. Because I always say, tongue in cheek, I'm hoping we grow this to where we have more people than they do at the hash bash. But they do it on a Saturday. It's been going on for about 40 years.
Yeah.
But
the hash.
But it'd be nice to bring a lot more attention to the recovery, and a lot more people struggle. Everybody. There's 25 million of us in recovery, and if you look at it residually from the number of people, from the places we're educated, places we work, places we worship, the communities we live in, there's nobody that's not affected by addiction. Yeah,
and if you just take the number that blew my brain out was like, it was 10%, right? So it was like,
well, 10% of the people that are identified with addiction get the help they need. That's 1 in 10.
Yeah. Yeah, but then if you add the family members affected, say it's 5.
Right. Crazy.
Do the math.
Right.
So it's crazy. There's not a person that's not.
So how can that be? How can we be okay with that?
And how
it's trying to piss off people to understand there needs to be change, fundamental change, to get the help that's really needed in this country.
Well, because the thing is when you actually talk to somebody, I actually have not had I cannot tell you the last time I had a conversation with somebody and we were talking about alcohol or drug addiction. They're like, yeah, I don't know anybody. Like, that's how common it is. Because they always start with, oh, yeah, I know so-and-so, or, oh, my sister, or my brother, or my dad, or my mom. I've never gone in and they're like, yeah, it's weird. I've never met anybody.
I'll drive, like if I pick someone up in Flint and I'm driving to our facility to Skywood in Augusta. It's about an hour and a half drive. And all on the highway, all I pass is liquor, billboards, gambling billboards, and marijuana billboards.
And my favorite part is they go gamble here. If you have a gambling problem, please call. And it's like, I'm not saying you're setting people up to fail. I'm saying there's a chance, right? And it just seems that way.
We live in a very hostile environment for recovery.
Yeah, it's like you're set up to be addicted. And the more that you look at it, when you're looking at it from that position, like you said, coming from the jail perspective.
Yeah. Oh, that population.
Dude, you realize it's 9 out of 10? It's 9 out of 10 are struggling with some kind of addiction, and the whole reason they're there is because that addiction won that fight that night, and they did something they wouldn't normally do to produce that outcome that put them in the scenario that they're at. And then the even more strange part about it is when they have no idea where to get the help.
Yeah.
It's like, how can we not know that? And so getting that information in there.
Well, and that's, interesting because, I'll just give you a perspective of how tough it is to kind of lobby for what should be available. Like, there hasn't been a rise in the beer tax in this state since the 60s, I believe. Just a little percentage bump in the in that tax could go towards funding treatment, funding recovery, funding prevention.
And it would probably financially cover it, given the people that drink beer in this country.
But you know how hard it is to lobby or to get a brave legislator to take up that cause?
What makes it so difficult?
The beer and liquor lobby. They have so much money to counter it.
Really?
That's why the recovery community is so big nationally. We're probably one of the largest constituencies in the nation.
Yeah.
But we don't make any impact because we're not organized and we're not funded to lobby.
See, in my brain, I look at that and I would go to them and say, you want this because you can say you're tackling a problem for the people that struggle with it while providing that service, and they get on both. They win both sides. They get both sides of the bread.
Yeah,
that's how I would pitch it. I mean, if that was me to those beer people, that's exactly. I'd be like, listen, people like to drink and unwind and relax. Some people can't handle it. You providing that service for people on unwind makes sense. Also, providing service for people that struggle with it makes sense.
Anything that hits their bottom line, they just won't. You know.
Oh, it's all money dollar, huh?
Oh yeah. Oh. Well, you just look at the opiate issue.
Yeah.
And how it grew. It was all driven by money.
Really?
I mean, yeah. I mean, if you look at, it's just the
Give me
whole
one
story.
example, just one quick example.
Well, I mean, just the way, for example, Purdue Pharma, when they introduced OxyContin, and when they went to their business development people,
Yeah.
and what they were telling the doctors and how they paid the doctors to make presentations in their communities,
Really?
to say this isn't addictive at less than 1%.
OxyContin's not addictive?
Initially, they had a doctor that went out and made the statement that OxyContin would addict less than 1%.
Is that like Googleable, that information?
Oh yeah,
Really?
I mean, there's documentaries. I mean, on how the DEA was just their hands were tied.
Wow.
Like for example, there was a little city in West Virginia called Kermit, West Virginia. You can look this up.
Okay.
There was over 2 million pills distributed in that town of 400 people.
2 million pills
So-
for 400 people.
Right. So the thing is, the DEA should have the opportunity to look and map where all this distribution is going.
Sure.
That was taken away from the DEA and given to the distributors of the pharmaceuticals. So it was like
So it's given to the doctors?
No, it was given to the distributors like McKesson.
Oh.
People that you have pharmacies.
Yeah.
You have distributors, you have manufacturers.
Okay.
So like Purdue Pharma is the manufacturer of OxyContin.
Right.
They distribute it through places like Cardinal or McKesson are distributors
Okay.
that distribute it to the pharmacies like Walmart, Walgreens, and it was a concentrated effort. And then the doctors were prescribing, and then the pill mills eventually started developing because there was no regulation. So at one time, over 40% of all the opiates were coming out of Florida.
Wow. 40% for the whole nation.
Yeah, because
Wow.
of the pill mills that were being developed. You had charter flights coming in from Kentucky, from West Virginia. They were going into to Florida. There's surveillance. I used to bring in this gentleman named Joe Ranazizi. He was the deputy chief of the DEA. He was the one in charge of providing the DEA number for doctors. They need a DEA number to prescribe.
Right.
And not one doctor during this opiate epidemic, which is the worst epidemic that the country has ever seen,
Wow.
was prosecuted.
They
I
weren't
mean,
prosecuted?
we're getting them now, but we're going through Medicare and Medicaid, embezzlement and things like that.
Oh,
So we're
okay.
getting them that way.
Okay.
We're not, getting them through. There has been a few doctors that have been prosecuted for the deaths of their patients.
Yeah. In fact,
It's
we're-
starting to go, but
Yeah.
if you Google this, Joe Ranazizi, he was on. He quit the DEA and he became what do they call a whistleblower.
A whistleblower? Okay.
And his segment, he had 2 segments on 60 Minutes, and they were the most watched segments of 60 Minutes.
No kidding.
Just amazing the stuff that he talked about.
Well, Scott, I told you this goes by fast, man.
Yeah.
We're all done. Thank you so much.
Oh, yeah. Thanks, Isaac.
Real quick, Monday, May 15th is the MGM Hall of Fame event, so
Yep.
people can go to the website and check that out and maybe meet some famous Red Wings and baseball,
Lions
basketball,
and-
Lions. You also had the third Thursday in May 18th.
Yeah, that week that week is going to be a busy week because you got the 14th with Hall of Fame and you got the 18th with the rally at the Capitol.
Well, you guys are doing big things and amazing things. Thank you so much for coming in.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe at Spiritual Warfare Unit, and we will see you next week. Do you have a nonprofit in your area that's doing a lot of work that people should know about? Feel free to contact Spiritual Warfare Unit at 810-715-9319, and we would love to have them on to see what good they're doing in the community and find out their story. Thank you so much.
So much time much to let me stay this way. Jesus, there's freedom in your name. You break every chain, oh Lord. 'Cause you are above every name, Jesus. Oh, you set me free. Now I live my life singing songs of praise, proclaiming everything you've done for me. 'Cause my walls came down when your love shone through.